doesn't work. But just like Mr. McGee was saying, other people will be coming in to our city. That's true. Are we going to be like Independence, where they had to beef up their police staff and everything because the inner city gangs, they're in Independence now. Now, years ago, learning about the Crips and the Bloods and the Latin counts, and being at the Independence Center to know when they throw up a sign and what it meant. Yeah, I read a book. I read a book because I wanted to know what was the best thing for my kids, because that was when their time was. And the best thing was to not acknowledge. Just on the news the other night, they beat this kid almost to death because he didn't acknowledge. So, do you need a task force team? I'll be one. I can get Alvin Brooks down here. Yeah. I can get whoever you want. We got people that can track anybody. So if you need me, I'm one for you. Because, yeah, my kids are grown and I've got a third generation in school. But I'm still adamant about loving my kids and loving this community. And if that's what you need, hey, I'll be back. I'll pull myself out of retirement. There you go.
My name is Gina Stockman. I've been here for about 20 years since I married my husband. My question is, if this man who owns the mall will rent to this man, what's to keep him, who's he going to rent to next month, and the next month, and the next month, and how are we going to stop him from doing this again?
Okay.
Thank you.
I've been a business owner in this town. I've been a business owner in other towns. And I think sometimes what we don't understand is that the Alva Mall owner is a businessman. Mr. Juba is a businessman. Our city can't control what kind of business they do, but we have to provide something different because our kids want somewhere to go. I hope that you're all as adamant and supportive about the city cannot afford to provide what our kids need all the time. It will take an individual. It will take an individual who's willing to make no money. I ran not an under 21 dance club, but I provided for junior high kids a dance place for 4 years that was, I considered it successful because I was keeping kids off the street. I gave them something wholesome to do. They were dancing to music. There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with them wanting to be with their friends and dancing. A lot of the kids that are in this room went to that place. They want to be somewhere like that. There's nothing wrong with that, and I think we forget that the city's not in charge. We're asking for the city to control his financial records. Where's he getting his backing? What's he doing with his money? It's not their business. We live in America. And they don't have the manpower to do that, number one, but you have to be as adamant about supporting a business member, and that's the problem, is we're all here ready to stop him, but are we all going to be here next week when somebody wholesome, as we all like to say, opens up a club? But you know what? That takes a lot of work, and it takes a lot of time away from their families to help your kids when they don't have it. And I also don't agree with the statement that what happens to the kids that don't have good supportive families. I want you all to know, just because you have a good supportive family doesn't mean your kid doesn't go astray at some point, okay? I have 7 children of my own, and I've cried many nights because they've made a wrong choice that I prefer they didn't make. I pray to God that they turn it around, and so far, knock on wood, they all come around. There's a difference between evil and what we would like to see happen. Just because we don't necessarily agree with what our kids want to do doesn't mean it's bad. It means that they're kids. And at 44, I don't want to do the same thing that a kid wants to do at 16. So I don't think And you don't understand sometimes that a bowling alley, that's great. Bowling alley, I don't know if you've ever looked into the business side of a bowling alley, but it's pretty expensive to put in 2 lanes of a bowling alley. Okay? You've got to have the manpower. There's not a lot of people who work for free. Your 14-year-old doesn't work for free. So it's a situation that I hope and I pray that you guys are all, I support you completely about keeping this man out, but I hope you support whoever decides to make a business for your kids to go to. I hope you support them as well as you do, because it's very easy. Why do you think so many businesses close right now? Because nobody supports them. And if they're a good business and they're doing something for your kids, that's what you have to remember. It may not be exactly something that you'd want to do, but we have to remember that our kids make choices, and sometimes their choices aren't bad. They're just different than what we would want to do. And believe it or not, they really do grow out of it. But there is a need for them to do something. And like I say, there are a billion parents out there that are willing to help do this, but it will take an individual business for somebody to do something. Our city will never be able to provide. In a way, Parks and Rec is a business entity of the city. But believe me, they're not a money-making business. That's for dang sure. Okay?
Why do they want to do it?
What?
Why do they want to do it then?
Why do they? Because they want to provide something for your kids.
The only thing we're really worried about, helping the youth is fine. What is he going to teach our kids?
I'm not saying Mr. Jube is the way to do it. What I'm telling you is it's clear, it's completely clear that you guys don't want Mr. Jube here. No, it's not. Yeah, I'm not for him at all, but what I'm telling you is we all know Mr. Juba, we don't want him here, okay? But what I'm saying is we're all here because we don't want the bad guy here. But are we all this supportive of the guy who opens the good business? Are we all willing to give our kids $10 for the guy who opens the good business, to give them something wholesome to do so they can buy the orange juice at the club? Because it's just like was said, an under 21, any kind of anything does not make money. It doesn't. They do it because they care about your kids, and that's it. That is it. I've been in that situation, and I have lots of children, and that's why they do it. And until somebody opens it and it's supported in this town, and you will draw from other towns, but you have to be willing to support your kids in the good choices. And believe me, I'm a member of a church here in town, but your kid doesn't always want to just go to church. Church isn't the only good choice. It's a great choice. And I say to my kids all the time, go there. But there's other choices that they want to do, and there's other choices they want to have. And we can provide those things, but we have to be willing to support the good things with as much dedication as we are to keep the bad things out. We have to make sure we're willing to support the good things.